What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. Here we are sitting at about $91.6 thousand with 10 hours and 22 minutes left in the day. Moving up a little bit from yesterday's lows, and I do think that we will continue to move higher. I'm assuming that what we did yesterday was the low, was the higher low to this higher low of this move overall, and we should be moving up higher. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point, whatever kind of diagonal support line we have here, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point that broke, but that might be after this next move up, right? There is still the possibility, and it's something to keep in mind, we've been saying it basically throughout this whole range, that there is still the possibility that we could go below this low. Oftentimes, and in fact, the majority of times that we've seen the RSI hit this low level below 20 on the daily time frame, typically from that low, you do build lower lows over the next month or two. Now, they're not dramatically lower lows. The last time that we were oversold like this, and most times that we are oversold like this is kind of the result that we get, where it is a sideways, slow, drawn-out process over multiple months or at least a month, and slightly lower lows, something like that, right? Something like that I could see. Here, what we were doing here, this is kind of what I would equate to what we are doing now. More or less, right? This took less time, but more or less this is what I think. And with that, you can break out and you can break down and still see a slightly lower low, but you're still at your low area overall. So I'm not calling, I want to be very clear here. I try to say this every single day. I think I've tried to say it every single day. I'm not calling for a lower low at this point in time, right? Back here we were calling for sideways and we'd probably get a lower low. At this point, I'm not really calling for a lower low. I'm not necessarily expecting it or holding my breath over it, but I wouldn't be in dismay or depressed or sad or screaming that we're in a bear market if we do see a lower low, right? That would not happen, and it could happen. It's very possible that we do see a lower low, so it's just something to keep our minds open to, okay? I do believe that we're going to move up higher from here first, regardless if we hold this or we don't hold this. I would think that we at least move up to about $99,000 to $101,000 somewhere up here first, and then maybe we come back down, we find support, or we break through, whatever. Then we can talk about the possibilities of seeing a lower low then. But at this moment, it's just something that I want to keep. I want to just keep us familiar and friendly with this idea. That way, if it happens, imagine that you saw a slightly lower low and we were to continue to move sideways, whatever, maybe even get a lower low, and then we break out. This way you're not panic selling and mass depression at these lows whenever you really should be mass euphoria, mass excitement to buy, right? Like that's kind of the idea here. And the way that I have it drawn, this would be, we wouldn't be even at new all-time highs until February. I don't know if it's going to take that long, but it could. It could take that long. It could take until February. It could take until January. I doubt we see new all-time highs by the end of this month of December, but I do truly believe we will see prices that are up around, if not above 100K by the end of this month. What we do after that kind of determines how long it'll take to take out these highs. Do we, and we'll see. Anyways, looking at the short-term stuff, looking at the 1 hour time frame here. 1 hour with 19 minutes left in it here. Moving down a little bit. You moved up without a whole lot of volume. You had some volume at first. We were looking like we were going to BART out of this completely, but we just went to this area here where we found support before. Pushing higher but finding less volume, that makes me think that we will pull back from here. We probably do. You look at the RSI, we've got a double top rejecting the overbought zone, a little bit of bearish divergence technically. Stochastics are coming out in the MACD. The stochastics in the MACD, and really the RSI overall, they do look good. They look positive. I would assume that we see more growth. But from here, perhaps we do pull back a little bit, and maybe we respect this fib. I mean, this would make a lot of sense, I suppose, to go back down to about 90.3K, 91K, somewhere in this area, probably before the end of the day, right? We're probably going to do this around the 1 hour time frame, so this would probably be by the time most of you watch this. And then from there, we'd look to recover and potentially be, it's Monday today, right? So potentially, by the end of the day, we should be above this high. That's my thoughts. By the end of today, we should be above this high. If not by the very end of today, Monday the 8th, then the very, very beginning hours of Tuesday the 9th. I would think that this recovery is quick, this drop is quick, and We'll probably be moving on our way higher in no time at all. Now, if we do break below $90,300, if we break below that level, the statistical probability goes up that we take out this low, and in which case we could break below this low. At the moment, I'm thinking this is the low, especially with how much of an interaction we've had with the golden ratio up here. But if we go below $90.3 thousand, then there's a statistical probability that we take that low out, and we probably push down to 86K or lower, okay? At the moment, though, we're thinking $91.1 to $90.3 thousand for support. Probably closer to the green line than the yellow line. That'd be my assumption. But anything can happen. We'll see. And I mean, maybe we just find support here. But again, looking at the indicators, I'm more under the impression that we have a little bit lower to go. A little bit. I'm not talking about the stochastics going all the way to the oversold zone, though maybe. I'm not talking about the RSI going oversold, but maybe. You never know. Probably more so just a false cross on the MACD, maybe bounce off the 50 or the 40, and then same thing here, bounce off the 50 probably. 4-hour time frame. The MACD is not going to help us at all. The stochastics are probably not going to be helpful at all either. They seem bullish here, and the last couple of times that we've been overbought, we've just hung out here for a while, so the best call might be to move sideways, but I don't know if I want to make that call either. Although more or less that's probably what we're going to be doing, just slightly shifted to the upside, right? Overall, the stochastics are more bullish than bearish, and you can see it, right? You're getting more overbought for a prolonged period of time. We're here in the oversold area. It's just moments, right? The RSI is neutral as well, but a little bit more bullish than it is bearish as well. I don't know. You're finding resistance at the 60 twice. You're overbought. The MACD is not going to help us. I could see us meandering here a little bit, but still pushing higher. That's the expectation there. Daily time frame, and the 4 hours probably the least helpful time frame we're going to look at, because you just got all this choppy sideways stuff. Even though it is tilted upwards, it's choppy sideways, so that's going to throw off these indicators a little bit. Daily time frame. By the way, for anybody who's doing technical analysis on their own, if you're in moments like this and you're wondering why your indicators aren't helping you as much, or why maybe your win rate is lesser in moments like this, it's because choppy high emotional times, they typically don't bode well with your indicators. Typically they don't. When you're trending, that's when your indicators are at your best. I guess chopping sideways and moving sideways, there can be trends in there as well, but I digress. All I'm trying to say is the rules change depending on what the price is doing, okay? Breaking out of this downtrend, forming an uptrend. I mean, look at this. You rejected the 50, found support above the 40. You had a higher low. I thought you were going to go to the 40 to find support, but this is a nice turnaround here. I think we're going to have that. I doubt that in the next 10 hours and 15 minutes that we close today red. I do doubt that, but if that does happen, we'll go from there. You might be rejecting the 50 again, but I doubt that happens. I would think we continue to build on the stochastics, on the RSI, on the MACD, and I think that this next week that we're in right now, it's Monday, it's the beginning of the week, I think this week and even going into next week are going to be very bullishly received weeks for Bitcoin, and we should be moving up higher. I do believe in my next target area that I'm assuming right now is something between the lows here and the closing lows here, something between about 101.5 to 98.9K, something in that area. That's where I think that we're going to go. We'll probably move up here. Maybe we move up a little bit. We get another higher high and then a higher low. We just keep chopping until we get up here. And then from there, again, I wouldn't be surprised if we broke out of this upward sloping trend. Everyone's going to say this confirms that we're in a bear market, and really it's just going to be a higher low. Just like all the people who are getting excited at all these highs that we're in a bull market still, when really it's just a lower high, right? We believe we're in a bull market. We're excited. We think we're in a bull market too, but we're not showing our excitement. We're not euphoric, screaming at the top of our lungs, I told you I was right. Bears were wrong. Nana nana boo boo. We weren't doing any of that, and we won't be doing any of that until we see new all-time highs, or at the very least till we're above 116K. 116.4 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 116.4K right there. Taking out this high, once we take out that high, it's inevitable. It's completely disarguable. I don't know. You can't contest the idea that we are still in a bull market once we're above here, because at that point the odds of success of driving to a new all-time high are tremendous. But again, all that's in the future. I don't think that we're making a move up there now. I think that we will find a resistance here, and I think we will probably have some kind of higher low trend established that later in December we will break through. I think a lot of people are expecting an end of year rally, whereas we're probably just due for some end of year chop. That's been the real expectation of this range, regardless of up, regardless of down. We're just chopping. We're moving sideways. We're going to be in a low consolidation range, just like we were back here, just like we were back here, just like we were back here. Because every single one of those times, beyond just the similarity and just sideways choppy price action, whether it's in a larger range or a tighter range like this, they've all hit the same levels in the RSI, hit the same levels there, hit the same levels here. And I think this one, I was going to say this one was roughly at the same time of year, and I think this one was too. Yeah, this one, they were both in late Q3, early Q4 times. Here we're just in the heart of Q4. But anyways, daily time frame looking bullish overall. I would think that we recover from here. I do think that we have a very substantial cycle low right here. That's my expectation. And in a matter of time, probably sometime in January or February at the latest is my expectation, we should see new all-time highs. Okay, we'll probably chop, do our thing. January comes along, we really start to kick things up. Maybe February, March comes along. I mean, February comes along, I would expect that we're at new all-time highs, but March, maybe February, March comes along, and that's when we're at our high, right? January, February, we're above this high. February, March, we're at our new high, which could be anywhere of 142K, 165K, perhaps higher than that. I really do think that our next stopping point, where we will stop, pull back, build a higher low, macro higher high as well. The next place that we stop and consolidate for probably multiple months, or at least a month, if not longer, probably 6 weeks or more, would be somewhere between about $150,000 to $200,000. That's my expectation, and probably closer to 190 or 180K than 200K, and probably closer to 160K than 150K. But that general range would be about 200 to 250K, something in that area. That's where I think our next move will take us, because of how sorry, because of how lackluster this last move was. Right, if we're looking at these bull markets here, or these moves throughout this bull market, typically moves get bigger as the market progresses, and they were getting bigger. Every move did get bigger throughout this bull market up until this point. Our last move actually got smaller. Typically, and not typically, throughout every bull market we've ever seen, except for this one, as time goes on, the moves get bigger, not smaller. When they get smaller, that typically implies, hey, we're in a bear market, but you don't get a smaller move up, right? Like this, I guess, was your smaller move up, but that wasn't the end of your bull market. This was. The move got bigger than your last move, right? If we had more history on this Coinbase chart, I don't know why we don't. That's weird that we don't. This chart existed before 2018 too. That's so weird. What? Because this is BTC USD on Coinbase. I know they have data dating back to 2016, 2015. That's so weird that it doesn't show. And I do have the premium for trading view, so that's not what it is, if anybody's wondering. Anyways, I would expect then that whatever the next move is, whenever we do move higher, that it's bigger than this move. That's all I'm trying to say. And if this is the low, that would imply then that we see something above 100 and probably above 140K. It doesn't have to be the biggest move of the cycle. Maybe it is. If it is the biggest move of the cycle from a low to a high here, then we would anticipate something that's bigger than this. And we really could, with that being at 170K roughly, that makes sense that if we were to see the biggest move of this cycle so far, that we could push to 180 to 200K, something that's just above that there, right? When I say biggest move, it doesn't have to double. Wouldn't that be great? That'd be awesome if it doubles, but something above here or just above here, and I mean that gives us roughly this range of about 140 to $200,000. I think we push higher than this. I think we would push past 150, but time will tell. Anyways, that's again, we'll probably see these prices of 150 or higher either sometime in February or later. That's my expectation. But I got nothing else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves. We're at 91.5K, 91.6K now. It might move down over the coming hours, but by the end of the day, I think we should see some recovery, pushing past 92K and going into tomorrow, pushing higher as well. The next destination in the short term is right here. High to low. Right at the 0.5. Yeah, I think that's perfect. If I'm wrong, then we won't stop at about 101K. We'll stop, and maybe we wick a little bit above, maybe we stop a little bit below. If I'm wrong, we won't stop in this area. We'll push up to 106 to 109, 110K, something like that. I'm not really expecting that at the moment. That's not the call, but that is the golden ratio, and it's something to keep in mind. Prior areas of support right here, very significant support, resistance right there, support right here as well, right, both of those lows there. And then we have prior forms of resistance back here, all in this golden ratio area. So it's a very significant area. I assume a lot of people are going to have their eyes on it. I think we're going to see some front running on the sell pressure because of that, but we'll see. Time will tell. Something between 100K and 110K technically should be the next target area. I'll see you on the next one. Hit the like button, subscribe. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.